Man, that song's been stuck in my head the past few months. I'm super excited for Fire Emblem Three Houses. In fact, it's been my most anticipated game of the year, and I've been waiting for it ever since its announcement about a year ago. Since the game is coming out really soon, I figured it would be fun to place all the characters that have been revealed so far into a tier list. You can think of this as a sort of waifu/husbando tier list if you want to. The tiers are pretty simple and are comprised of the following: top tier, high tier, mid tier, and low tier. I'll basically be giving a brief description of the character, which I have obtained from Serenus Forest as well as the various official websites, links in the description below. Then I'll be giving you my impression of the character based on what I've seen of them so far. To avoid spoilers, I won't be going into any time skip information, other than the 3 house leaders since their designs were revealed in the official trailers. I also won't be going over every single character in the game, as that would be too long. This video is meant to only focus on the members of the 3 houses. So, without further ado, let's start off with the Black Eagles, starting with Edelgard von Hresfeld.
It's not a question of can or cannot. All that matters is doing it and doing it right.
Edelgard is the heir to the throne of the Adressian Empire and has a noble, dignified, and cool personality. I think it would be hard to deny that Edelgard's design is downright beautiful. Her time skip appearance is also really cool, with her hair put up into these sort of Princess Leia-like buns with dragon horns sticking out. However, I think her serious and noble personality actually makes her the least interesting of the 3 house leaders, so I really hope we get to see different sides of her throughout the game. That being said, her design is so good that I have to put her into the high tier.
If you continue to insist on distracting me, I will have no choice but to get rid of you.
Hubert von Bestla is the strategist of the Black Eagles and loyal servant to Edelgard. He has served Edelgard from a young age and will use any means necessary to eliminate her obstacles. To me, Hubert looks like a straight-up vampire, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I hope that he's not entirely defined by his servitude to Edelgard and that we can see more of what he's about and perhaps any personal ambition he might have. Hubert looks like the kind of guy that would have a dry sense of humor, and I hope we get to experience that. I'm going to put him squarely into the mid-tier. Dorothea Arnold was a popular songstress before she enrolled in the Officers' Academy, and is the only commoner in the Black Eagles. She greatly admires Manuela and tries to treat all of her similarly aged friends as equals. Dorothea is another excellently designed character, and I would say is up there in popularity next to Edelgard. Her hat reminds everyone of JoJo, of course, but it doesn't do too much for me personally, though it is pretty cute. To me, Dorothea seems like a spunky, enthusiastic girl willing to prove herself amongst a house full of hoity-toity nobles. Because of all this, I'm going to put her right into the top tier.
My central duty as a noble is to protect the common folk.
Ferdinand von Eger is the proud heir to the Duke Eger family, where the title of Imperial Chancellor is passed down. He is confident, hates to lose, and considers Edelgard his rival. To me, Ferdinand looks like a pretty basic dude. He's perhaps one of the least interesting characters of the game so far, and I think is more along the lines of NPC status than one who is among the main cast. Ferdinand's personality has nothing exceptional to it either, though I wonder if his rivalry with Edelgard will be interesting at least, or if it will just be a one-way rivalry where Edelgard doesn't even notice him. So far, I'm unimpressed by him, so into the low tier he goes.
I'm just gonna hide in the fort and cheer everyone on. There, is a fort, right?
Bernadette von Varley is the only daughter of the Earl of Arari. She is abnormally shy, and when she's not attending lectures, she usually shuts herself away in her personal quarters. Bernadette's design matches her personality quite well, and she even has what I think looks like a hoodie, though I don't think it actually is one. It would be appropriate though, as I think she'd be the type to wear it whenever she's going between her class and her room. I think it's pretty obvious that post-time skip she'll become a more confident version of herself, which is admittedly predictable, but I generally like that character arc, so I'm cool with it. Bernadette is a character that I am curious to know more about and want to help her get out of her comfort zone a bit so she can flourish as a human being. I'm going to put her into the mid-tier for now. Caspar von Berglies is the second son of Count Berglies' family who decided to train at the Officers' Academy to be a successful martial artist. He has a quick temper but a keen sense of justice and is overall honest and straightforward. Caspar seems like one of those short guys with a lot of pep and energy, which I guess is pretty cool. The only noteworthy thing about his design, I guess, is his hair, which is a cool color and is styled pretty interestingly, what with the weird slight spikiness right down the middle. He seems like a pretty straightforward character and I have no reason to dislike him, but I also don't think he's particularly exceptional, so I'm going to put him into the mid-tier. Petra McNary is the granddaughter of the King of the Brigid Isles, which is a vassal state of the Empire of Adressian. She's unaccustomed to the spoken language of Fodlan, but is trying her best to learn and is considered to be quite smart and studious. Petra is my absolute favorite character in the Black Eagles, and I'm not just talking waifus, I'm talking the whole house. I love the whole exotic swordswoman thing she's got going for her, everything from her hair, to the marking on her face, to the way she talks, to the single pant leg thing she's got going for her. She's just a fantastically designed character all around. I'm all for the sexy badass foreign sword lady, so into the top tier she goes, easily. Last up for the Black Eagles is Linhart von Hevring, the heir of Count Hevering's family. He enjoys freedom, is considered to have a brilliant mind, but is always sleepy and is considered quite lazy. I'm usually a fan of the smart but lazy character, so yeah, I'm totally on board with Linhart. My hope is that he provides a lot of comedic relief in the game. Because of his looks, I was confused as to whether or not he was a chick, so I was at one point thinking of him as a potential waifu, and a pretty good one at that. With all that said, I guess I pretty much have to put him into the high tier. Moving into the Blue Lions, we'll begin with their leader, Dimitri Alexander Bladed.
Our opponents are mighty, that much is certain, but I'm positive we can win.
Dimitri is the next king of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus, and is a sincere young man who embodies chivalry, but at times a faint shadow can be felt behind his cheeriness. Dimitri definitely holds true to that whole never judge a book by its cover thing. He seemed like a pretty stereotypical knightly young man at first, but once his time skip appearance was revealed, to me he became the most interesting of the house leaders. I'm very curious as to how Dimitri gets to that point in the story, but I'm also worried that he might slip too far into edgy territory. Despite all that, based on how intrigued I am of him alone, I gotta put him into the high tier.
It matters not who we're up against. They will not harm His Highness.
Didu Molinaro is a commoner born in the Dasker region, and is Dimitri's servant, who he owes a great debt to. He is scary looking and quiet, but is actually a gentle and nice young man. I'm definitely a fan of the gentle giant character archetype, and it seems Didu definitely fits that mold. However, I'm worried that his seriousness will end up making him too dry and boring of a character. Didu's design is definitely interesting. That tan skin and white hair combo makes me think of Scar from Fullmetal Alchemist, which is another character that I like a lot. Overall, I think I'm going to put him into the mid tier. Felix Hugo Fraldarius is the heir of Duke Fraldarius' family. He has a mean, sarcastic attitude who fashions himself a bit of a lone wolf, but he takes his sword training very seriously. Felix is the poster boy for edginess in this game, and there's nothing about him that I find particularly likable. I'm usually not a fan of the dark lone wolf characters because they usually end up being one-dimensional and highly uninteresting. His design doesn't really help either. If you're going to go for a brooding Shadow the Hedgehog type, at least do something crazy with him, but he just looks like a regular guy. I'm hoping that there's at least something about him that's endearing, but for now, I see no reason to put him above low tier.
If you get injured, simply say the word and I'll patch you up straight away.
Mercedes von Maltritz is a kind woman who carefully observes her surroundings and cannot ignore people in need. She's a former imperial noble, but now lives as a commoner in the kingdom. Mercedes looks like a positively lovely lady. She has a gentle expression on her face that makes me feel like it'd be okay if I broke down and cried like a little bitch around her. I'm all for the maternal, caring types, and Mercedes is definitely hitting all the right notes with me. She seems like a supreme waifu, except for her voice, which sounds too high-pitched and chirpy for my tastes. I really wanted to put her into top tier, but her voice prevents her from going that far. Here's hoping that I get used to it in-game, but for now, Mercedes goes into the high tier. Ash Duran is the adopted son of Lord Leonato, ruler of Gaspard Castle within the Kingdom of Fargus. He's a serious young man who studies and trains diligently to become an admirable adult like his adoptive father. To me, Ash seems very... meh. He's another one of those serious types, and I guess at this point you already know how I feel about those. I guess it's just hard to come up with different types of character personalities when the cast is so large. Anyways, Ash's design is also pretty basic, so I gotta put him into low tier.
I've got to find out everyone's likes and dislikes so I know what to cook. Who knows when it'll be my turn at kitchen duty.
Annette Fantine Dominic is the niece of the Baron Dominic, and graduated from the Magic Academy in the royal capital with flying colors. She's cheerful and hardworking, but she has a reputation for being a bit oblivious at times. Annette initially didn't stand out to me much, but after reading her description and hearing her talk about cooking, she seems like she could be a fun character. I generally like characters that are well-intentioned but can be sort of spacey, which looks like the kind of character she can be. Other than that, I really don't have much to say about Annette, so with that, I shall place her into mid-tier. Sylvain José Gautier is the heir of the remote earldom of Gautier. He is widely looked up to as a dependable big brother by the other classmates, but is also a hopeless womanizer who loves flirting with girls. My first impression of Sylvain was, this guy fucks, and indeed, the description of his character holds true. He does in fact look like a very debonair character, and is the first male character so far in this tier list that has some serious style to him. According to Dimitri, there is so much more to him, and I'm really curious as to what he means by that. I'm also down with the fact that he's a big brother type character, someone that people look up to and depend on. Overall, I think I'm really gonna end up liking Sylvain, so into the top tier he goes. Last up in the Blue Lions is Ingrid Brundle Galatea. Ingrid is a lady from Count Galatea's family and is a childhood friend of Dimitri. She has a serious, virtuous attitude and is a great admirer of knights, but once she lays her eyes on delicious food, she forgets everything. Ingrid is no doubt attractive, but amongst the other high-tier waifus of this game, she looks a bit more on the generic side, at least to me. I like that she has this noble, serious personality up until she looks at some good food. So at least we know she has some other dimensions to her character. Because of this, Ingrid seems like she could be one of the more interesting characters and could potentially be involved in some comedic situations where her serious and more lighthearted attitudes clash. For now, I'm going to put her into the mid-tier. And now let's talk about the Golden Deer, starting with their leader, Claude von Regen.
Schemes? Me? I have no idea what you're talking about. I plan to fight fair and square as ever.
Claude is the heir of the renowned Regen family, which heads the Leicester Alliance. He is sociable and easygoing, but also harbors a cunning side, calling himself someone you can't trust. First off, Claude is just way too good looking and groomed. One word keeps popping up in my head as I look at him, and it's handsome. He's definitely the most chill of the three house leaders, and I'm also very curious as to how cunning he really can be. I'm thinking he's going to be somewhat of a schemer and strategist, which his charm and looks will definitely help with. Overall, Dimitri may be the most interesting house leader, but I think Claude is the most likable, and I'm really considering joining the Golden Deer just because of him. Top tier for sure.
We've much to discuss, but first, let us dispense with the riffraff. It is a noble's duty after all.
Lorenz Hermann Gloucester is the heir of Count Gloucester's family. He is prideful of his responsibility as a noble and has been approaching several females at the monastery, trying to find a worthy noble wife, which isn't going well. Lorenz is someone I just can't help but respect and like. I think it's mostly due to the fact that despite his goofy appearance and ridiculous haircut, he's still putting himself out there trying to get with the Whammons. I also like that Lorenz is like this really snobby person and is probably blithely unaware of how silly he can come across. To me, he's definitely one of the more interesting characters of the game, and I'm really curious to see how he grows. I'm gonna put him into the high tier.
What? I'm diligent? Everyone else is just excessively diligent.
Hilda Valentin Goneril is the only daughter of Duke Goneril. She's a typical spoiled nobleman's daughter and is known for acting cute and buttering people up to do things for her. Hilda definitely has that cutesy girl thing going for her, especially with the pink twin tails, but I'm not too into this sort of character archetype. I can see how her ability to manipulate others into doing stuff for her can lead to some funny situations, but overall this type of character tends to annoy me. I don't think I'm going to like Hilda in-game, but who knows, maybe there's a deeper layer to her that we don't know about yet that might make me warm up a bit to her. Overall though, her design doesn't do much for me and I don't like spoiled types, so I'm going to put Hilda into the low tier and move on.
Why can't the dining hall stay open all the time? I need to keep eating if I want to get stronger.
Raphael Kirsten is the son of a merchant from Leicester. Both of his parents died in an accident and he's been through a lot, but he's an optimistic fellow who's only concerned about what's on the menu and his daily muscle building to become an exemplary knight. How can you not love this guy? I mean, look at him. He's literally about to pop out of that shirt, but that confident and positive smile tells you that it's gonna be alright, bros. Raphael seems like the kind of dude that would help random guys at the gym with their lifts. He's the kind of guy that'll warm your spirit and give you a great big hug and make you feel good, treat you right. In terms of husbandos, he's probably the best in the game, and in terms of characters overall, he's top tier status for sure. Lysithea von Cordelia is the eldest daughter of Count Cordelia's family. She is the youngest student enrolled at the academy this year and is a child prodigy who excels at magic, but she doesn't like being treated as a child. I'm really uninterested in the child prodigy characters overall. They're mostly just like, hey, look at me, I'm real good at everything, and then that's their character. There's just also not as much potential for character growth since they're already geniuses, basically. I really hope Lysithea brings more to the table with this archetype because so far there's just nothing about her that I find interesting. I'm gonna have to put her into the low tier for now. Ignatz Victor is the second son of a merchant family within the Leicester Alliance. He was sent to the Officers' Academy because his older brother is set to take over the family business, although deep down, there are other things Ignatz would rather be doing. Ignatz is already more interesting than most of the characters in the game since he seems like he is the only one that doesn't really want to be there. Already there is a lot of potential for where his character could go. Will he grow into the knightly position, or will he eventually abandon the life and follow his dreams? Ignatz is the nerdy boy stuck in a school filled with kids who want to be strong knights and officers and all that, so I'm already rooting for this guy. I'm very curious to see where this character goes. I'm putting Ignatz into the high tier. Maryann von Edmund is the adopted daughter of the Earl of the remote Edmund territory. She's a bit of an enigma, mainly keeping to herself, unless she's talking with birds and animals. Maryann looks absolutely depressed. It just makes you want to go up to her and give her a big old hug, though she would most likely run away before anyone can give her that opportunity. I want to know what's making her so sad. Why does she only keep to herself? What's she really like? Can she understand animals? Who hurt her? All of these are questions that I want answered, and she's definitely one of the characters that I want to get to know more about, and I think she has a lot of potential to grow in the time skip. I'm going to put her into high tier so that she's less sad. Last up for the Golden Deer is Leonie Pinelli. She's the daughter of a huntsman from Sahane, which is located within the Leicester Alliance. Leonie is a habitual penny pincher, training to become a mercenary in the hopes of repaying her village that helped send her to the Officers' Academy. Her design is simple and cute, but next to these other characters, she looks a bit bland, like she could easily pass as an NPC. As for her personality, I can pretty much say the same thing. Leonie has the most basic of motivations, which is money, and she wants to train to be a good mercenary so that she can make more money. I'm sure her motivation for making money is more interesting, but for now, I'm just not a big fan of her character. I'm gonna put Leonie into the low tier. And that's it. This is what the final tier list looks like. I have a link in the description to the tier list maker if you want to make your own. It doesn't have all the characters revealed thus far, only the ones that are in this video, aka the only ones I cared enough to place into a tier list. But it's there. As for which house I'm going to choose in the game, I decided to choose based on this tier list. I assigned point values to each of the tiers and summed up the points amongst the 3 houses. Top tier characters give 2 points, high tier gives 1 point, mid tier gives no points, and low tier subtracts 1 point. With this in mind, the results are as follows. The Black Eagles are in the lead with 5 points, the Golden Deer follow narrowly with 4 points, and the Blue Lions end up with 2 points. So it seems like I'm most likely going to choose the Black Eagles, but it's so close with the Golden Deer that it might switch. Honestly, the Golden Deer have characters with more interesting personalities overall, even if I may not like them as much as the Black Eagles. And who knows, after talking to them and getting to know them all in the actual game, I could see myself going with any of them. Ultimately, of course, I'm going to play all 3 routes eventually, so I guess it doesn't really matter. If you want to fight with me in the comment section below about who should go into which tier, please go for it. I really do enjoy discussing these sorts of things. In the future, once I play this game thoroughly, I'll be doing a review of it and maybe an updated tier list, so look forward to that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.